This is Triggered.
And you will be.
Well. Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, imagine that. Guys, we had the
Imagine that.
best Saturday.
Oh, my Lord.
So, Tal calls me, and both of our men work like
I just
every
have
day.
I just have to say something. And it really hit me this weekend. I am so thankful for how hard our men work.
Phew.
I'm so humbled and I feel so blessed that like these guys will literally work themselves to the bone for our families.
100%. I am so impressed.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, and I'm not calling anyone out here, but I have a lot of girlfriends that are single or that are trying to date or, all of that because midlife. And the number of times I've heard, yeah, but he's great. He seems, amazing, but he doesn't really work. I'm like, what do you mean? It's 2026. We all have to work.
I know.
And it's shocking to me. And it brings me back to a situation way back when I was having my daughter. And my partner at the time basically was like, everything is split 50-50. Like, I don't care that you're on maternity leave and that you're making 55% of even half of what I make.
Yeah.
It's 50-50. And this is the first time I've been in a partnership because I was a single mom. Chantal was a single mom. We have done the last, role of change to get something we need. Like this was our reality. So I feel so grateful that I have a partner. I was like, hey, Chantal and I are lonely. Like we're going to go yard sailing. And they were like, yes, please go.
Please go.
So
and we went. Did we ever go?
We went, guys. Okay. So my total haul, I got to tell you.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So I spent $11. Okay.
I know.
For $11, I bought a beautiful pair of linen pants, a tank top, a purse, 2 books, an umbrella, a coffee mug, and a Care Bear.
A Care Bear. Don't forget about the Care Bear. I know. For $9, I got matching lamps for my living room that are perfect in my living room. And I got 2 pairs of like around the house shoes. And I am so happy.
So happy. I mean, I loved it.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought up our garage sale day because it plays perfectly into what we're talking about today.
You're
because
doing
Ashley,
a case on a yard sale?
Because Ashley, what is, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here. We haven't talked about this before at this moment. What is the one thing every time you bring something into your house that I tell you to do?
Cleanse it.
Why?
Well, especially me because I love old, weird things. Because you can be bringing residual energies. You could be bringing, spirits. Now, I don't often cleanse things right away.
I know you don't.
Because I just like to fuck around and find out. I'm like, I'm going to bring it in here, play with it for a little bit.
See.
Now, I do eventually do it because we don't need them weird.
We don't need that.
We don't need it. But I like to just fuck around and find out just a little bit.
I was going to say, you fuck around a little bit.
Yeah.
So before, if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck no, I don't believe in this shit, I'm going to turn this off. Just hear me out, okay? This is not, I mean, it gets pretty woo-woo, but right now, this is not woo-woo. More and more, every year, scientists Not witches, not warlocks, not, gypsies. Scientists are proving year after year, energy continues. Energy does not just stop. It gets transferred. So if we're talking about a home or a piece of furniture or an item that has been surrounded by negative energy or positive energy or whatever, and then you take that piece from there, they are starting to see that that energy is transmitted to an item. Okay. It just, don't come for me. Look it up. The person
Listen.
that won the Nobel Peace Prize last year literally was proving this point.
Okay, so if you guys are curious about, looking into this in a scientific versus spiritual manner, I highly
Mhm.
recommend the Miriam Bleak's breakdown. It's a
Mm.
podcast. She played
Mhm.
um, on The Big Bang Theory, and she was Blossom.
Yes.
She is a neuroscientist. She has a PhD in neuroscience. And the thing that I love about her and her husband, they have all these guests come on,
Mhm.
of a scientific background. They have people who have had near death experiences come on,
Mhm.
and they break it down. And the thing that I like about that is there are things, and there were a couple episodes that I was like, holy shit, that defies what we think we know about the afterlife, about
Yeah.
spirit, about energy, about all of these things. And they bring on these amazing guests, and she breaks it down in a way. She's like, that is not possible, but here we are. It is
But here we
possible.
are. And that's
Yeah.
all I'm asking of our listeners today is keep an open mind for that, what we just spoke about, for energy being transmitted into objects. Just keep an open mind about it. At the end of it, you may still be like, I don't believe in this shit. This is bullshit. And I want to hear about that. Let us know.
Mhm.
I want to hear all the things.
I
So
want to
we're going
hear, before you continue,
to,
friends, I want to know, did you ever acquire something
mm-hmm,
that things started happening? Things just
mm-hmm.
seemed off. You can comment on our YouTube. You can
Yeah.
comment on our Spotify app. Like, you can comment anywhere you want, babe.
Yeah.
Like, but come and comment. And if you really want to have a full ass conversation with a group of people that are dope as fuck, subscribe, become
Yeah.
a member, because you can come in our Discord and we're always up in there.
Literally can't wait to talk to our chaos crew about
I
this.
know.
Like I'm so excited. You're going to honestly, I will be waiting with bated breath for this to drop so that
I
I
know.
can hop in our Discord chat and be like, all right, guys, lay it on me. Let me know.
I love them.
I know. Me too. Me too. All right, Ashley. Horicon, Wisconsin. Wisconsin.
You say HorrorCon?
Horicon.
HorrorCon. Okay.
Which I'm like Comic-Con for whores. Like, what are we? I'm sorry, Horicon. It's a joke. It's a joke, please. We love you. It's the kind of town that gets described in the same 3 sentences every single time. Small population, like about 3,800. It's 40 miles from Madison. It's safe, quiet, and prosperous. It sits in Dodge County, and it's got a main street and a high school and a marsh and not a lot else going on.
You know what?
News
There's a
travels
lot
fast
going
here.
on in these small towns. We think there's nothing going on.
Oh,
That's where the
just
going
wait.
on is going on.
Just you wait. News travels fast because there isn't that much news. Like there's people are just talking about shit. And it's so funny. Like my town that I live in is much larger than this, but I see this constantly on our community Facebook page. It's ridiculous. Like the things that people get worked up about. I'm just like, you are so bored. You must be bored.
And I live in Ottawa. Like, I'm like near downtown. No one
Mhm.
gives a fuck.
No. Oh
Like,
God.
I
The
don't,
shit here.
and I love, like, I know my one neighbor, and they're incredible. They're the sweetest little family. But honestly, the shit I see on a daily basis, I don't even blink anymore. Chantal and I experienced something, I can't talk about it on here, but on Saturday morning that we realized we've become so immune to the crazy now
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that we saw this thing and had a full interaction with it. We never discussed it all day. We didn't even bring it up to each other. And then that night, she's like, "Can we talk about what happened?" And we
What we
didn't even bring.
saw, yeah, it wasn't even a conversation. Like, we didn't even talk about it until after. I was like, did that happen? Anyway. So it's April 1986. Alan and Debbie Tallman moved on to South Larrabee Street with their 3 kids, a son and 2 younger daughters. The house was nothing fancy. It actually looks like the house I grew up in, and you'll see photos.
I love your house.
Yeah. Market value around 50 grand, which in mid-80s Wisconsin was solidly middle class.
Yeah.
Single story, subdivision of 10 homes, neighbors on either side, a garage, a driveway, a basement, like everything that a family of 5 would ever need.
It's like the American dream back then.
Honestly, yeah. Alan had taken a job as a shift supervisor at a local manufacturing plant. The hours were long, and sometimes he worked nights, which meant Debbie was home alone with the kids quite a bit. But they were making it work. The house felt like a chapter beginning, like something good finally clicked into place for them. And for the first 10 months they lived there, nothing happened. And this is a really important detail. Absolutely nothing happened. They lived a normal life. There were no bumps. There were no noises. There were no creaks that made them feel uneasy. Everything was fine. In February 1987, Debbie and Alan decided to buy a bunk bed for their daughters. They found one at a secondhand shop. It was used but solid wood, looked like a perfectly ordinary piece of children's furniture. Alan said he set it up in the basement before moving it upstairs to the girls' room because there was just more room down there to put it together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where our story begins.
Interesting.
And again, I want to go back to something that I just mentioned a second ago. We have to be really specific about timing here because it matters. They had been in that house for almost a year with 0 incidents, no strange feelings, nothing. The only thing that changed in February 1987 was the purchase of that bunk bed.
Okay.
Everything that follows started happening within days of them moving the bunk bed into the girls' room.
All right.
The first sign came from the son. His name hasn't been publicly shared, so I'm not going to use it. But the first night the girls slept in the new bunk bed, he claimed the dial on his clock radio moved on its own. It just rotated by itself. And he told his parents. And Alan and Debbie did what you and I would do. They were like, oh, okay. Because the thing is, they've had no experience with anything. So if your son, and their kids were younger, comes and is like, last night I was laying in bed and I watched the dial move on my, you're like, you're tired.
Yeah.
You were up too late. Sometimes at night in the dark, we see things that just aren't there. So they listened to it, but they basically filed it under he's a kid and kids say shit and moved on. Then one of the daughters started talking about a woman she was seeing in the bedroom, and not a friendly woman. So Debbie was like, what does she look like? And she was like, she's old with black hair and her eyes glow red like fire.
No.
As much as the son was like, oh, my clock was, this was a little bit more serious. Like, Debbie still wasn't sounding alarm bells, but she was like, all right, you're seeing a woman with glowing red eyes in your bedroom. Like, that's disturbing.
Now,
So she tells her,
it's the 80s. So of course they're like, it's fine. But like
yeah,
you and I as mothers, like our kids are like, there's a woman in my room. We're like, shit. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, like, fuck. So Debbie's like, okay, honey, well, it's okay. It was probably just a dream. Sometimes, and she's explaining to her daughter, right?
Yep.
Sometimes we dream very vividly and it looks like something's in our room, but it's not. And then their son independently described the exact same woman. Now, Debbie and Alan swear he did not hear this from anybody. So from what I could gather online, And there's so much lore surrounding this. So, like, don't come for me. I'm just telling you what I saw online. From what I could gather online, Debbie and Alan swear that their daughter had told them about this, and the son wasn't even in the house. He was out playing without the daughter, even.
Okay.
And so there was no possible way that she could have even told him what she saw. And he comes home and he says, "Hey, I've been having a really weird dream where there's an old lady with black hair and glowing red eyes." Now they're like, "Okay, what in the hell is this?" Which, no shit, everybody would be up in arms at this point. After that, it escalated quickly. Doors slamming open and shut with no wind, a rocking chair moving by itself. Radio stations would just change on their own. And the whole family was witnessing this. It wasn't just one person. Voices coming from empty rooms. And like Debbie says, she would hear talking and she'd go look and there was nobody in the room.
Yeah.
There were no words at first. They said it was just sounds, like it just sounded like people were having conversations and nobody was there.
Mm-mm.
One night, Alan was sick. He had an infection. So Debbie called the kid's grandma and said, "Hey, can you come stay the night? I got to take Alan to the hospital so that we can get him antibiotics." She claims she was asleep on the couch when she was woken up by a pair of red eyes staring at her from the front window. She didn't stay. She literally packed the kids up and took them to her house. So here's the thing. And we talk about, psychological instances like folie à deux and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking about my own mother. Like, my mom doesn't believe in this shit.
Mm-mm.
So if this was my mom, and I don't know the details, I don't know if her mom subscribed to this shit. If this was my mom and she was like, "I packed up the kids because I saw someone with red eyes looking through the window," I would be the most shooketh you can imagine.
We're not sticking around. Like, okay,
No.
so I say that, but if
We
there are
would stick
kids in the
around.
house, yeah, but
Yeah.
if they're little people, I'm getting the little kids out of there.
Yeah.
Chantal and Ashley in this situation, I'd be like, Chantal, grab the ghost box and get comfy because we're staying up all night.
Okay, so I just want to cover something because as we're telling this story, maybe you are sitting listening and going, "Oh my God, these fucking girls, like, this isn't even a story." The interesting part about this case is that it doesn't live or die on whether you believe that children saw something. These are adults. And we're starting to get a bunch of adults in on this. So now both Debbie and Alan have experienced it, and now Grandma's experienced it. And later, even law enforcement corroborates what's going on in this house, but we'll get there. So the Tallmans do what so many people would do in this situation, and they bring in their pastor. And I always as someone who came from the church, I always love hearing about this because I can just picture having this conversation with a pastor. Like, how do you even start this? Like, hey, Pastor Rick, I'm just wondering if you could pop by the house for some sandwiches and also to check out the old ghost with red eyes that's haunting our family. Like, how do you even start that conversation?
I feel like, and this is just my experience because I was raised in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
I feel like, going to a Catholic priest, they would be like, my child, I'll be right there. Pastors, you
But a
don't know what you're
pastor,
getting. They're
this
like,
is it. Like, I'm just thinking back to, and like, I know some people from my past from the church do listen to our podcast. Guys, like, I've loved all our pastors, but I just like in my head, I'm picturing them and me
yeah.
going to them and being like, "Hey, do you think you could pop in because there's something weird going on?" It's
They'd
hilarious.
be like, yeah.
They'd be like, "Oh man." Yeah. So the pastor comes to the house. He's like, well, obviously they're very upset about this.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks in and he immediately says he feels the presence of the devil, which I don't know. This is close to the part where I'd be saying to my husband, like, I think it's time we start looking for another place. Because if you are a Christian or you are whatever, and you take your pastor seriously, this would be a moment where you were like, the presence of the what? The who?
Like, they don't mess around with the D word. We're not messing around with that one.
I know. So he blesses the house and he leaves, but the activity did not stop. It did not. The D-man didn't give a fuck. Alan was becoming increasingly agitated. His mood was changing in ways that Debbie noticed, in ways that weren't like him. He was irritable, on edge, hair trigger in a way he had never been before. Whether that was stress or fear or something else, I can't tell you. What I can tell you is that one day, Alan was at the end of his rope, and he did something that you're going to laugh when I tell you this because it's such a Chantal thing to do. But in retrospect, might not have been the best move. He walked through his house, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Leave my kids alone. Pick on me."
No.
Yeah. Which, hero.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Whatever the fuck it was, accepted the challenge.
But here's the thing, Alan.
My friend.
It's my friend. It's a different thing to say, pick on me and leave my kids alone, and for you to be prepared and know what's coming. If you're just talking out your asshole, my love, don't do that.
All right? Like, I'm like, we don't even know what this is. I don't like it. A few days after that, Alan came home from a late shift around 2 a.m. As he was pulling in, he heard howling near the garage, which immediately
Like howling of a person, howling of an animal?
Sounded animalistic, which me as a country girl, I would be like, oh, fuck. The coyotes are here. But then he heard a voice from inside the garage say, "Come here."
Nope.
Alan went to the garage door and looked through the windows. He saw what he described as an orange glow of fire on the inside, red eyes staring back at him through the glass.
You know, this is I don't like looking out the window at night. Because I have this unrealistic fear that I'm going to look and something is going to be looking back at me. And I don't like that.
I know. Alan smartly did not go into the garage. He went inside the house, but it followed him in. So a little bit before this, Alan had started sleeping on the floor of the girls' room at night to keep watch over them.
What a good dad.
He woke up to what he described as fog rising out of the floor of the bedroom. Then the fog turned into a being of some kind. Now, this had green eyes, and it said to him, "You're dead." And then it was gone.
I think at this point, I'd be like, Tally, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Well,
I don't like this part.
Here's the thing. And I understand there's financial constraints and everything. I'm not saying that they were in a position where they could just move. For me personally, you needing to sleep on the floor of your children's room because there's an entity haunting you guys, I'm out. We're leaving. Alan bolted out of the room after he saw this. Debbie said she found him in the hallway and she said he was pale, tear-streaked, and he couldn't speak. She called the pastor again because of course she did. That would be terrifying. I think of our men. If I found Matt or Mike cowering in the hallway, tears running down their face, not able to speak because of something that they saw, that would shake me to a point where I don't even know what I would do.
I couldn't handle that because that's my protector person.
Yeah.
Like if you're breaking down, what the fuck is going to happen to me? Yeah.
So the pastor came again, but he basically was like, I don't know what else to do. I've already blessed the house. It didn't seem to make a difference. Like, I'm here for you to support you, but like, this is outside of my wheelhouse. Like, I don't know how to help.
Right.
So in a lot of haunting accounts, The story is told by one or two people after the fact, and there's no corroboration. What's different about the Tallman case is the sheer number of witnesses across a span of 9 months. We have the kids, the grandma, the pastor, Alan, Debbie, and we're not even close to being done. I want to make a note here as well. When I was on Reddit, because I'm always up in Reddit, especially
Love
for
Reddit.
haunted shit,
Mm-hmm.
there was a post made by, it was anonymous. The person claimed to be married to one of the Tallman daughters now, and he was just saying, like, the details are wrong in this story. But many, many people in the Reddit thread had said, like, can you please straighten it out for us? Like, tell us, we want to know. And he never did. So I'm telling the story based on, well, and you'll see who covered it very soon, but I'm telling it based on what we have. So if you're the Tallman family and you're listening to this, I'm just going based on what we've got.
And if you want to clarify anything,
Give me a
hit us up.
call.
Mm-hmm.
By January 1988, the Tallmans had been living in this state of terror for 9 months. Alan was watching over his children. Debbie was barely holding it together, which, like, I relate to so hard. I would be a mess.
Yeah.
And the kids were terrified to be in the house, which your home is supposed to be your safe spot.
Yeah.
On the night of January 11th, Alan was working a late shift. Before he left, he did what he'd started doing every night he had to leave. He called a family member and asked them to stay at the house while he was gone, so Debbie and the kids weren't alone. Now, here's the thing about this particular relative. This person was a skeptic en masse. Okay. Like, this was, I don't know what relation he had to them, but this was a dude that was like, y'all are crazy. You need to calm the fuck down. Of course I'll go sit in your house because I'm going to put this to bed once and for all. This is ridiculous. They came over out of family obligation. They did not think anything was going to happen. Alan goes to work. Debbie is managing the kids. The relative goes to put the kids to bed, and he sees something appear in the bedroom. The one who didn't believe, who had come over because they were doing them a favor and were probably like, oh my God, this is ridiculous and I'm going to prove them wrong, saw something, came out of the room screaming at the top of his lungs. And this was it for Debbie. That was her limit. She did not wait for Alan to get home. She gathered up the kids, grabbed what she could carry, and she walked out of the house. She vowed she was never going back, and she didn't. That was it.
Damn, that's a mom right there. You're like, yep, we'll figure it out.
She was like, I don't care if we have to sleep in the car. We're not going back in this house. 2 weeks later, she and Alan had the bunk bed taken out of the house, taken to a private landfill. Debbie did speak to reporters afterwards, and she said they took them out there and plowed them under. The beds were buried in a landfill where nobody will ever build. So, I want to talk about this because Alan and Debbie had started trying to figure out, when did everything change? What happened in February of 86 that changed everything about our house, our life, all of it? And the only thing that they had were the bunk beds. They had purchased the bunk beds secondhand from a thrift store, and they were starting to believe that when they brought the bunk beds home, they brought something with the bunk beds. So this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. If that was the only thing that changed in their lives, is it possible that something came with that bed?
Absolutely.
I think so too. There's nothing else. This is the thing. It's different for, let's say, you and I, okay? And I would be really pissed off if this happened. But let's say all of the sudden I start claiming that my house is haunted. People are going to take me less seriously because I'm already woo-woo. I'm already into ghosts and witchcraft and all these things that interest me so much. I will be taken less seriously because they're going to be like, oh, here we go. She's already planted this seed for years and years and years, her whole life. And now she believes that there's something there haunting her.
Yeah.
This was not the case for Debbie and Alan.
This
They
wasn't
were
their
Christians.
life. Yeah.
No, they were Christians. They weren't into this sort of thing. This was completely out of the ordinary for them. This took everyone by surprise. And remember I said that this town is like pretty small. News travels fast. Well, by the end of the week after the Tallmans fled, the rumors were out of control. The story traveling through Horicon had mutated into something almost unrecognizable. And we see this all the time. We saw this with the Amityville horrors, all of that. Things mutate. People start telling stories that aren't true, that this was not the case. People were saying that blood was oozing from the ceiling, that the basement had a hole straight to hell. And this one killed me because I was like, what demon do I need to summon for this? Because people claim that they saw the snowblower clearing the driveway by itself.
Well, you know what?
I'm
all in.
I'm sorry. Is there a cleaning demon? Because
I'm like, wait a minute.
Could I have one, please? That would be great.
Like, you want to stare at me with your red glowing eyes?
Pick up a broom.
Pick up a fucking vacuum and you can stare at me all you want.
No one lives here for free. Get your shit together. Rumors reportedly swept through the crowd at the Friday night basketball game at the local high school. Hundreds of cars started driving down Larrabee Street, which, do you know how irritated I would be as a neighbor?
I know. No, I wouldn't be irritated. I'd be fucking about. I'd be out there. I'd be like dressing up in a sheet. Ooh, like I would be fucking about.
I was just putting laser lights in the trees. Like, you want a show, motherfuckers? Watch this.
I know that's what I would do because my dream is to have this like spooky, haunted looking house on the outside, and everyone will be like, I heard she's a witch. I heard she eats children. And I'm just standing in the doorway like, hello.
It's me.
It is I.
Well, because people are gonna people every fucking time. They took it too far. They were climbing over fences, up into people's trees, peering into windows of neighboring houses. Now that is where I draw the fucking line.
Get out of here.
Get the fuck off my lawn. It was basically like mass hysteria. People were losing it. A man showed up with I'm not going to actually say my thoughts on this. A man showed up with a Bible and a bottle of like holy water or something. And he was like, I'm going to perform an exorcism on this house and save the whole town.
You're like, Ronald, put down your beer and go home.
He passed out and was arrested for drunk driving.
I told you. This dude was sitting at home like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to perform an exorcism. No, you're not, sir.
Yeah. So this is when things start to get fucked. Because, like people can't just let a haunting happen, Everyone's got to do their own thing, and I hate it. People started threatening to burn the house down. Now, the exact location of where the house was not public, which is why people were looking in the windows of neighboring houses, because no one actually knew which house on South Larrabee was the Tallmans.
So you could... No.
So
I don't like that.
Now we're having a problem because now the whole street is at risk and people are like, well, we're just going to burn the house to the ground.
What?
So like not a good time to be living on South Larrabee. The sheriff contacts the Tallmans and brought them in. He sat with them, listened to their account of everything that had happened. And here's what he said afterwards. He believed them. Not that he believed in ghosts necessarily, but he said this family was genuinely deeply frightened. He was so concerned that he convinced the Tallmans to speak to a small select group of journalists, people who had promised not to sensationalize the story and to protect the family's identity so that the actual account could get out and maybe stop the rumors. Like his plan was like, there's too many rumors going around. People think that the walls are bleeding, which we've seen in another episode, and it actually was, but that's not this case. And The sheriff basically went to bat for this family, claiming they were driven out of their home by a haunted bunk bed, period. But the arson threats continued, and they got serious enough that the chief of police made the difficult call to release the actual address of the house. Because they were like, someone is going to burn down a house with a family inside of it, and that's upsetting. And at least the Tallmans' house is empty. You know, like worst case scenario. The Tallmans did sell the house, which, Ash, are you buying this house?
Yes.
I knew you were going to say yes.
You know what? I like a deal.
Yeah.
I'd be like, you know what? I'll buy your house. But if I also have to buy your demon woman, I'm going to need you to take down the price a little.
They moved to a nearby town of Beaver Dam, and an investigation of the property was conducted. So law enforcement's like, regular families don't run away from their entire town for nothing.
No.
The Dodge County Sheriff coordinated with a professor from the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee to go through the house. Photographs were taken inside. These photos were actually kept private for decades, but they surfaced online much later. What they show is an unremarkable house. No blood on the walls, no hole to hell in the basement, just rooms and a normal place.
Because the bunk bed isn't there.
Well, okay, so we do I was very confused when I got these photos because there is the bunk bed in the house. So I was like, maybe there was like over the years, it's gotten convoluted, and this investigation actually happened before they got rid of the bunk bed. That's a possibility.
Were all their things still in the house? Like, was it furnished?
It's hard to, there was stuff in the basement. Yeah. So this was one of those things where, and this happens often to Ash and I, like, it's just over the years and through the Reddit threads, like timelines get mixed up. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this actually happened before they fled, but they fled with nothing. They didn't take anything. They literally took the clothing. The house was just left. So the police's and the professor's conclusion, at least officially, was that there was no signs of forced entry, no vandalism, and no environmental hazards that could explain the disturbances, which we're going to get into because we've seen this over and over and over again, especially with these older houses. Sometimes it's a carbon monoxide leak, a slow leak. So it's not killing you, but it's making you delusional and making you see shit.
Especially if you're already scared of something and you're, you know?
Yeah. There was no gas, no infrasound source, no evidence of any external party messing with the family, nothing. Multiple officers were later quoted saying that while they publicly dismissed the haunting claims, they privately acknowledged the family was genuinely frightened and shaken and that something felt off in the house. Now, I'm a bit skeptical here. Because if I read this whole thing and this was a big rumor going around my town and I went into a house like this, I would feel like something was off too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a planted seed and we can't actually take that super seriously.
No.
So like we said earlier, you can explain one witness. You can even explain like two people who, similar to other hauntings we've seen, want the attention of the press. But this was never the case with them. They, to this day, just wanted to carry on privately. They didn't want any attention. They didn't want to be doing all of these interviews. In October 1988, Unsolved Mysteries came to Horicon. The show's crew got permission from the house's new owners to film inside the actual property where everything happened. The episode titled Tallman's Ghost aired on October 26, 1988, as part of a Halloween special that also covered the haunting of the Queen Mary. The reenactments were filmed on location. Local Milwaukee actors played the family. The actual bunk bed was long gone by then, but the house was real. The rooms were real, and the story reached a national audience. Okay, this is gonna fuck you up. This was probably my favorite part of this whole thing. The Unsolved Mysteries episode was part of Season 1, Episode 4. When the show was revived and put on streaming platforms, that Halloween episode was included, but the Tallman segment was missing.
What do you mean?
Now, the episode exists online in various places because people recorded it in 1988,
Ah, yes.
but the official streaming version of that episode is missing that segment.
Why?
No explanation has ever been given publicly by the current rights holders. Now, the original producers of Unsolved Mysteries did a Reddit AMA in 2017 and addressed missing segments because I guess this isn't the first one.
Okay.
But I think it's bullshit. As someone who's in PR, I think this is bullshit. I think this was a PR stunt that they had to say this to calm people down because they said their legal team monitors cases and removes segments when there are legal or case status reasons to do so. No.
What would be the reason?
No.
Mm-mm.
Because this is a case from 1988. This family moved to Beaver Dam and is genuinely like unknown to the public. So what reason would you have not to include it? There is no legal I'm calling bullshit on this reason.
Interesting.
And I find it interesting. All right. Before we wrap this up, as we always do, let's go sit through some of the theories. Theory 1 is one of our favorites, Ash. Mass delusion and stress-induced hallucination.
This is my favorite
said,
outcome of everything I ever know. It's so
people
intriguing.
said Alan was working nights. He was working long hours. I mean, no. Like, I get it. I understand people want this. But they were like, it was a new place. Maybe people weren't sleeping well. They had been in the house for 10 months and everything was fine.
No.
I could understand this if they had just moved. Alan had just started his job.
I will not accept it. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Next theory. That one's gone.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that at all. Theory 2, a hoax. Someone was messing with the Tallmans, either an outsider with access to the house or possibly someone within the family circle.
No.
This has been raised by skeptics over the year. The problem here is motive and method. A sustained 9-month campaign of terror against a very regular working class family who had no enemies and no problems, targeting children, requiring sophisticated staging, including apparitions, fog machines, moving voices and objects. Fuck. And no one ever came forward to claim it. No. Fuck off.
Get out of here. Don't want it.
No.
Next.
I was like, nice try, guys. All right. Theory 3 is, I guess I can see this more than any other one, but I also debunk this, so just bear with me. Environmental explanation. So many people online subscribe to this. Carbon monoxide, mold, radon, some other invisible environmental factor that can cause symptoms the Tallmans described. Paranoia, visual disturbances, hearing things, mood changes, Alan's personality shifts. These are all consistent with a poisoning, an environmental poisoning of some kind. They did an investigation on the house and found nothing. I would be like, oh my God, this is so sad if they opened up that attic and it was full of fucking black mold.
But also, that would take time. Like, it would be something that would have to accumulate over time, and grandma and that other person experienced it within hours. No. Within
hours of being there.
No.
So it's like, I get it. I understand that a skeptic would want to say, no, this is something. But I'm telling you, they did a thorough investigation of the property in the house and found nothing. There was no mold source, no detectable CO, no gas leaking in from anywhere.
No. I don't like this one. This is not, it can't be that. Continue.
All right. And the final theory, and this is what I subscribe to, and I know it's what you subscribe to, the bunk bed came with something. Mm-hmm. They purchased that bunk bed, not knowing there's no history on this bunk bed. It was in a thrift store. So chances are it got moved from house to house to house to house to house to house, ended up dropped off at a thrift store. It got sold to them. It had something with it. And that's I'm subscribing to this because nothing else makes sense.
It has to be that.
Of course. Because again, and you know, I was telling a friend of mine about this last night. I was texting her and just chatting with her about it. And she said, like, what if they decided to do this as a way to leave the house? Like, maybe the house wasn't everything that they wanted. But that is not the case, because literally everyone that knew this family said, like, they were living the American dream.
Yeah.
This was a huge step up from where they had been before. Alan had a good, stable job finally. They had a garage, they had a basement, they had a yard, they had all this was their dream home. I mean, we look at it and go, oh my God, like it's such an 80s standard home, but that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
This was not a case of, oh, actually, we don't like this house and we need a reason to get out of it. And that does not explain grandma and the relative who didn't believe in this shit.
No. And like, if you needed a reason to get out of it, sell it. Don't flee.
Right? They left in the middle of the night and never returned.
Like, come on. No.
With 3 kids. I can't imagine doing that with 1 kid.
Can't imagine doing that on my own. Fleeing in the middle of the night. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be a really good reason for me. Because
A really good reason. And to flee and never go back, even more so.
Yeah. Wild.
So after they moved to Beaver Dam, Debbie gave one of her only public interviews. She said, I think it's going to be a long time before things get back to normal, because they were traumatized. Here's the thing. If this was a hoax, if this was them fucking around, that they were traumatized. This whole family had trauma for years. They basically disappeared from public life. They did not participate in the Unsolved Mysteries filming. They did not do interviews for the tabloids that came calling. The house on Larrabee Street was sold. The bunk bed was buried. The story lived on in local legend and online archives, while the Tallmans tried to move forward. The house is still there, but that doesn't creep me out. No reports of strange activity has ever come from the house, because it wasn't the house, it was the bunk beds.
Yep.
The house was totally fine.
I don't know that I would have buried the bunk bed. I think I would have burned it.
So the bunk bed is still in a landfill somewhere, but nobody knows exactly where.
Well, it's buried under, decades of garbage now. It's deep in the earth.
Yeah. All this to say, Tallman family, I hope that the rest of your life has been wonderful. I really do. This sounds like something I don't ever want to experience.
No.
And regardless of what you believe or what you don't believe, like I said, this family was traumatized for years after this.
Yeah. Like,
so,
and, as
I feel awful for them.
Yeah. And as they would grow up to be adults, you'd constantly be worried, like, about being a parent.
What if it comes back?
What if it's coming back for me? What if it comes back for my kids?
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing, all in all, is horrifying.
Yeah. And I do feel for them, regardless of what you believe or what I believe. This was genuinely a terrifying time for this family, and I feel terrible.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your little spooky tale, my friend.
You are so welcome. I hope you all enjoyed this Tuesday tale. I decided after Ashley's episode on Friday that we needed something where no one was brutally murdered, because sometimes we just need a break.
Well, let me tell you, you needed this palate cleanse, because I'm coming for you guys on Friday with something.
I know.
So dark.
I know. So thank you all for listening. We love and appreciate all of you. Honestly, every week this podcast grows, and Ashley and I are just thrilled. It's like Christmas every day. And we wouldn't be doing this without you guys. So thank you again. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you all on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.